Hello students, let's start with another chapter of marketing management, and in this chapter we will be discussing about institutional markets, government markets, participants and influences on buyer behavior. So let's continue. Let us understand what is institutional markets first. Institutional markets refers to organizations that purchase goods and services for their internal use rather than for resale purpose. So, in this we can include various institutions such as hospitals, schools, universities, government agencies and non-profit organizations. So all these organizations purchase products for their self-consumption and not for resale. Right. So if we talk about institutional buyers, they have specific needs and requirements and buying behavior that actually makes them different from different market segments. So understanding the participants and influence on buyer behavior in institutional markets are is very crucial for marketers to so that they can effectively serve this segment. Let's talk about the participants in institutional markets. It is the first one is hospitals and healthcare institutions. Hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, other healthcare institutions, they actually form a very significant segment of institutional market. These organizations purchase a wide range of products and services, including medical equipments, pharmaceuticals, surgical supplies, IT systems, and facility maintenance services. So this is about hospitals and healthcare institutions. Coming on to educational institutions, this includes school, colleges, universities, training centers, which have very different type of purchasing needs. They require educational materials, textbooks, laboratory equipments, and computers, softwares, furniture related to the classrooms and maintenance services. Now talking about government agencies, they are federal, state and local levels of government. They are the major participants in institutional markets. So these agencies purchase a wide range of goods and services to fulfill their operational needs, which includes office supplies, stationery, vehicles, construction materials, security services, professional services, IT systems, etc. So coming on to non-profit organizations, this includes charities, foundations and cultural institutions and social service organizations. They have specific requirements related to their mission and operations, such as fundraising services, event management, communication tools. So this is about non-profit organizations. Now let's talk about influences on buyer behavior in institutional markets. The first one is budgetary constraints. When we talk about budgetary constraints, institutional buyers often operate within budgetary constraints and funding limitations because they are not the final deciders. So they most carefully allocate their resources to meet their diverse needs while ensuring financial sustainability. Supplier must consider the budgetary considerations and offer cost-effective solutions that actually align with the financial realities of institutional buyers. The next point that we are going to discuss is about regulatory and compliance. Regulatory and compliance requirements. Institutional buyers generally are subject to various regulations and compliance standards. Suppliers must be aware of these requirements and they need to ensure that their offerings meet the necessary standards that are required. So this includes adherence to safety regulations, environmental standards, privacy regulations and other industry specific guidelines. The third point that we are going to cover is organizational mission and values. When we talk about organizational mission and values, the institutional buyers are driven by their mission, values and objectives. They seek suppliers who align with their mission and share similar values. Suppliers must understand the mission and values of institutional buyers and demonstrate how their product or services support these objectives. Now coming on to the long-term relationships. Institutional buyers often prefer long-term relationship with suppliers. They value reliable partnerships and continuity of supply. Suppliers must focus on building strong relationships with institutional buyers, providing consistent quality, timely delivery and excellent customer service. Now talking about decision-making process. The decision-making process in institutional markets is typically more complex and involve multiple stakeholders. The decision-making unit, which we also know as DMU, may consist of various individuals including administrators, department heads, finance officers and procurement specialists. Now suppliers must navigate the organizational hierarchy, understand the role and influences of different stakeholders and tailor their marketing efforts accordingly. Now coming to the next point, that is evaluation of benefits and outcomes. Institutional buyers evaluate the benefits and outcomes of their purchases in terms of their impact on the organization's mission and objectives. Suppliers must highlight the value and benefit of their product or services, emphasizing how they contribute to the institution's goal, efficiency, productivity and overall success. Now talking about vendor reputation and credibility. See, institutional buyers consider the reputation and credibility of potential suppliers. They seek suppliers with a good track record, who can be reliable regarding quality and regarding timings and their ethical business practices. They should adhere to ethical business practices. Suppliers must build and maintain a positive reputation, demonstrate their expertise and provide references or case studies that showcase their success in serving other institutional customers. The next we will be picking up the government markets that refer to the purchases made by government agencies at various levels like federal, state and local governments. Government procurement processes are often complex and highly regulated. This involves strict guidelines, competitive bidding and transparency requirements. Understanding the participants and influences on buyer behavior in government markets is essential for suppliers who aim to serve government agencies. So let's consider all these participants. The first one is federal government. It is the larger buyer in most countries. It purchases a vast array of goods and services ranging from defense equipment and infrastructure projects to IT systems, consulting services and office supplies. Government agencies such as military, transportation department, health department, regulatory bodies make purchasing decisions on behalf of the federal government. Now talking about state and local governments, they also play a significant role in government markets. These governments purchase goods and services to support public services, infrastructure development, education, healthcare and other administrative functions. So if we talk about the examples, it can include state departments of transportation, public, schools, police department, etc. So now let's discuss the influences on buyer behavior in government markets. So the first one is legal and regulatory framework. Government procurement process are governed by legal and regulatory framework designed in such a manner that they ensure fairness, transparency and accountability. So this is the reason suppliers must familiarize themselves with their regulations, including bidding processes, contract terms, compliance requirements and certification processes. The second one is competitive bidding. Government agencies often require suppliers to participate in bidding processes. Suppliers when they are interested, they submit proposals or bids that meet the specified requirements, and the selection is based on factors such as price, quality, technical capabilities and compliance with regulations. Suppliers must carefully analyze the bidding requirements and develop competitive proposals to secure government contracts. Now, coming to socio-economic considerations, government agencies have, may have socio-economic considerations that influence their buying decisions. They may prioritize suppliers who are small businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses or businesses located in economically disadvantaged area. Suppliers need to understand these considerations and, if eligible, leverage relevant certifications or partnerships to enhance their competitiveness in government markets. Now, coming on to the political factors, they can significantly influence government markets, like changes in government administration, policy shifts or emerging priorities can impact procurement decisions. Supplier must stay informed about the political landscape, understand the government priorities and align their offerings with the prevailing policies and objectives. Now, coming on to the next point, that is compliance and accountability. Now, government agencies are accountable to taxpayers and must demonstrate transparency and accountability in their purchasing decisions. Suppliers must be prepared to provide detailed documentation, comply with audit requirements, and ensure ethical practices throughout the procurement process. Now, supplier diversity. This government agencies often promote supplier diversity as part of their procurement strategy. They aim to foster opportunities for businesses owned by underrepresented groups, suppliers who can demonstrate diversity and inclusion in their workforce, supply chain or ownership structure may have a competitive advantage in government markets. Long-term contracts and relationships. Government agencies often prefer long-term contracts to ensure continuity of supply and efficient operations. Suppliers must be prepared for longer sales cycle and demonstrate their capacity to meet the government's ongoing needs. So, building strong relationship with government agencies and providing excellent customer service are critical in government markets. Now, understanding the dynamics of institutional and government markets, including the participants and influences on buyer behavior, is essential for marketer and supplier aiming to serve these segments. Because by considering this their unique needs, regulatory requirements, decision-making process, and long-term relationship building in these markets, supplier can develop effective marketing strategies and successfully navigate the complex procurement landscape. And with this, we end up with this